Alright, in this video we'll be talking about how to form the subjunctive. Now if you missed the previous video on when to use it, you'll want to make sure and go back and watch that video first so that you know when this is going to be needed. So how do we form the subjunctive? We've got a couple of steps that will get us the right conjugation most of the time. We'll talk about some of the irregulars that break convention to be aware of those. So, to form the subjunctive conjugation of any given verb, follow these steps in the present tense. So step number one, we want to take the yo form of the verb in question. This will give you the correct stem of the verb. So if the verb that we're working with is venir, the yo form is vengo. So I'm going to take that stem, veng. Okay. Now step two, in order to have the correct verb ending, take the opposite ending. So if I have an AR verb, I'm going to give it the ER or IR ending, and vice versa. Venir happens to be an IR verb, so simply give it a corresponding AR ending. Alright, so if I'm going to use tu, and then I've got my stem, veng, the normal ending is the ES. The opposite ending is the AS. Alright, so note that the yo form uses the third person singular. So let's take a look at the subjunctive endings. So we've looked at these steps. If I have an AR verb, these are going to be my endings. Alright, so my opposite ending for the yo form of an AR verb is going to be an E. The opposite form will be an A. Okay. Opposite two endings. Él, ella, usted, nosotros, ustedes, ellos, ellas. So study those opposite endings. Make sure you can use those. Let's look at some examples right now, and then we'll take a look at some irregulars. Some examples. So, es bueno que. Remember that this was one of our trigger phrases. So, es bueno que nosotros, and then this is irregular, vayamos. Again, we'll talk about those here in a second. Number two, es bueno que, or es mejor que, tú no escuches. So I'll notice that I'm set up. I have one of my trigger phrases. It's better that. I remember that that's my flag that tells me to use the subjunctive at the end or the subordinate clause. Alright, so es mejor que tú no. Then escuchar is my verb. Notice how I've given it the opposite ending. Es mejor que tú no escuches. It's better that you not listen. Number three, prefiero que is a trigger phrase. Prefiero que viajes mañana. The verb viajar is normally AR. We give it the opposite ending here. Es extraño que ellos no vengan. Here we have a stem changing verb, venir. Notice how we took that yo form, veng, and then gave it the opposite ending. So it's strange that they didn't come, or that they don't come. Number five, es ridículo que coman 20 tacos. It's ridiculous that they eat 20 tacos. Okay, so again, the opposite ending there. Okay. So I think that you can read through the rest of these, notice the trigger phrases, and notice the subjunctive forms at the end of the sentences there. Few irregulars to watch out for. We have the verbs dar, estar, ir, saber, and ser. They're irregular forms. We have de, des, de, demos, den, esté, estés, esté, estemos, estén, vaya, vayas, vaya, vayamos, vayan. Sepa, 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 sepamos, sepan, sea, 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 seamos, and sean. Alright, so that's basically how we form the subjunctive. Yep. And practice with these. Just like anything else, it takes a lot of practice. I would say be sure to know all of the trigger phrases. Kind of get a feel for the trigger phrases, because that's not an extensive list. It's a good list to work with, to build on. There are more trigger phrases that could be used in those situations that are similar to those phrases that were given in the previous video. So kind of go for the mood of those phrases and practice forming the subjunctive. The more you write sentences and practice and speak using this, the better you'll be. And that's it.